Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. Today it's time for another BooktubeSFF Babbles, and today's topic is going to be my favorite fantasy or science fiction debuts. So first books from a specific author that I have really enjoyed and made me want to read them. All of their books, or maybe at least just continue to read whatever they have to see if it's going to be one of my favorite authors of all time. And some of them we'll see, because some of them are actually have only that single book out currently. But let's get into the different debut books that I have really enjoyed. First up, I read Solace by Gail Carriger. This was her debut novel, and she's a really popular author. I haven't read all of her books yet. I've only read the first two books in that series, but I really enjoyed them both. They are a great mix of steampunk and urban fantasy and fantasy of manor sort of style book, and I'm really enjoying it, and I hope that I will enjoy the rest of the books in that series so I can move on to her other series that she has. And it's super easy to get into her books, and I have another audio that I can listen to on Storytel before I have to go and buy my own copies. So that is what I'm gonna do. I really would like to own my own copies of them once I get to that, because I think the covers are pretty cool. But definitely a really good, strong debut, I think, and she is really good with her humor is really great and just something that clicks with me. And I'm a big fan of urban fantasy, so anything that mixes urban fantasy into their genres is something that I usually really enjoy, when it's done well at least. The next one on my list is Stormfront by Jim Butcher. Of course, Stormfront is Jim Butcher's debut novel, and yeah, I read something up on him the other day, how difficult it was to him to actually get himself a publisher and an agent, and that he kept being shut down by the publishers with Stormfront actually, and it took him a while to get that sign. But when he mentioned that he had already had 3 books in the Dresden Files series already written, they got a little more interested, because they were interested in the book. They just weren't sure if it was something that they wanted to take on, and I'm so happy that they did, obviously, because that means that I have a favorite series in urban fantasy, and that is the Dresden Files series, and I'm currently reading book 15 and I want to read all of his books. But Stormfront is a really strong debut novel from Jim Butcher that definitely sets his style in books, and I love Jim Butcher. I will read everything that he publishes. So the next one is one that a newly discovered author, and actually one of the BooktubeSFF authors as well. BooktubeSFF Awards authors, debut authors as well, and that is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I really enjoyed this book. This was such a great story. It was magical and whimsical, and I liked the fact that it took some Russian folklore into this fantasy. It's just something different. It was a fresh breath of air, and I think she handled it so well, and her writing was great. And the last half of the book, I flew through that. It was so amazing, and yeah, I just really enjoyed that book. So definitely an author that I am going to be reading from in the future as well. Very strong debut. Yeah, more on that later in my wrap up for the month. Then I also put down River of Teeth by Sarah Gailey, because this is also her debut novel, and I really enjoyed that. It's a short story, or novella, whatever you call it. It's about 150 pages, so it's not very long, but it's definitely a very fun book. And since this is a debut, I'm really impressed with that. I think that she wrote such an interesting story and such an interesting premise, and I can't wait to get into Taste of Marrow, which I have on my Kindle as well, that I hope that I'll be able to get to soon when the BooktubeSFF stuff is over. But definitely a book that I really enjoyed. And then the only science fiction book that came on this list is going to be The Martian by Andy Weir. This is his debut novel, and I'm amazed about that, because this is one of my absolute favorite books of all time, and that he could write a book this well researched and all of that. Just, that was such an amazing thing that sadly, I don't think that he delivered with Artemis. That was a big disappointment, but I loved The Martian, and I will also check out the next book that that Andy Weir publishes, just to see if it was just one, if it's just the one bad book in the midst of what's to come. Sometimes it's really difficult to come out with the second book and having that be better than the debut if it's a really strong debut, but still a really highly and recommended debut book if you have not read it yet. Lots of people have read it already, but if you're one of those few that hasn't picked it up yet, I'll definitely very highly recommend that you do. And I've heard that the audio narration should be amazing, so I'm considering getting The Martian on Audible at one point, and also my own copy, obviously, because I don't have it. I read it from the library at the time when I read it, so that I can read them that way. And I want to know what all the fuss is about with the audio, so there's that. Another debut that I really enjoyed was one of last year's debuts, and it's one of those authors who only has the one book out currently, but I'm really anticipating the second book in that series, and that is Marotta by L.L. McNeill. I really enjoyed this. This is a sort of blend of fantasy genres, I feel like. It has dragons, it has airships, it has a band of, don't want to say misfits, but just very different types of people come together to work in order for the same cause, and I love that sort of trope. And yeah, very highly anticipating the sequel to this one. I really enjoyed it and thought it was a very fun book, and definitely highly recommend this one to everyone. I have a full spoiler-free review of this on my channel, so you can go and check that out if you want to. But yeah, suffice it to say, I enjoyed this book, and I am highly anticipating Palom whenever she finishes it. The last and final author that came onto my list is another BooktubeSFF Awards shortlisted book author, and that is Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade book, and I love this book. I loved it so much. It was my favorite read of last month, and the fact that this is her debut novel, it's just completely amazing. She just swept me into this world of Nevermore in a way that I just needed at the time, I think, and I'm so highly anticipating The Wundersmith, and I'm so excited for that one. The ending of the first one was really interesting, and so I'm really excited to get into the sequel, and I hope that everyone picks this book up so I can talk to people about it, because it's such a fun book, and yeah, highly recommended, and it's a great debut, and I'm surprised that it just got a lot of buzz just really quickly, and I hadn't heard of it before the BooktubeSFF Awards at all, so I'm really happy that this was nominated so that I could discover it. And yeah, so these are all of the books that I wanted to talk to you about today. There's a lot of great debuts out there, and these were just a few of them that I could think of off the top of my head. But yeah, I obviously recommend all of the books that I've been talking about today, so definitely let me know in the comments down below what sort of debut novels that you find that are really, really strong debuts, that you think that I would enjoy if I haven't already read them. Definitely let me know in the comments down below, and yeah, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye!